Disclaimer: Wizards of the Coast is not responsible for the consequences of splitting up the party, sticking appendages in the mouth of a leering green devil face, accepting a dinner invitation for bugbears, storming the feast hall of a giant steading, angering a dragon of any variety, or saying yes when the DM asks, "Are you really sure?" Well, to be honest, this is a place I didn't see myself coming back to. First of all, welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Player's Handbook. That's a mouthful, and as I stated, not quite what I expected to say. The truth of it is, I thought I had outgrown Dungeons & Dragons a long time ago. I actually learned quite a bit about myself reading into this, primarily how old I've gotten. I'd be lying about what age I started playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, namely actually knowing that age. But I started with the Ravenloft setting, and I do remember I had already been playing for a while. I had just picked up Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt, a CD which had just released, as well as a supplement for it called Mask of the Red Death, and that was my most visceral memory of Dungeons & Dragons. And I played for years. I played it from, I want to say, the age of 10 to 13. But what killed it for me was, to be honest, more quote-unquote mature role-playing games. I say this with a heavy dose of sarcasm, as it was role-playing on America Online, and eventually the discovery of Vampire the Masquerade, which, pardon the pun, put the nail in the coffin of Dungeons & Dragons for me. From then on, I always saw Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, eventually going to Wizards of the Coast and being renamed to simply Dungeons & Dragons, as an entry-level game. A stepping stone into more mature gameplay systems, as it were. I wrote it off, joked about it, and never expected it to creep back into my life. But here we are, D20 in hand. So, why did I let it back in? Magic. Literally. I've always been a sucker for Magic the Gathering lore, and when I saw they were blending it into the newest version of Dungeons & Dragons, I gave into my base instincts and pulled the trigger, and I'm quite glad that I did. See, I had heard that this edition was smooth and fluid as a system could be, a damn near perfected version of the system that I had been addicted to oh so long ago. It had everything I loved inside, fine-tuned and torqued up. They even have an updated Ravenloft supplement made almost, perfectly for me, called The Curse of Strahd. It's been a very long time since I've gotten engrossed in any system that's not the Storyteller's system Onyx Path has been kicking ass with these past few years, and I have no intention of abandoning it. This is just me branching out a bit and retracing my roots. I've been having a blast rediscovering this part of my gaming history, and I hope you enjoy taking this adventure along with me. Now that I've indulged myself and explained to you all why this has been so strange and fun for me, I think we're ready to get into the book, so let's get there. In this introduction to the Player's Guide, we're going to do a generalized overview of what chapters the book has, what's within those chapters, and what other books you'll want to consider heading into for the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, both as a player and as a dungeon master. At the beginning of the book, we have a preface and an introduction, and that covers the following. Worlds of Adventure, which covers the fact that Dungeons & Dragons takes place in a multiverse, composed of many different settings. For the Old Guard, this explains how the old settings of Dragonlands, Forgotten Realms, and Ravenloft can all coexist. Then it covers how to use the book, how to play, and what adventures are. It's basic stuff, but what do you expect from the introduction? From here, it breaks it up a little oddly, and to be frank, unnecessarily. It has 3 parts, spanning multiple chapters, and the same thing could have been accomplished without doing the parts part. Regardless, I'll be covering what the chapters of the book have. As I go along my journey of rediscovering Dungeons & Dragons, I'll be making individual recordings, getting in depth with each class and race. However, even though I'm just kind of covering what's in this book here, I can hit you with a brief description of at least the classes as I go along. So, here you are. Chapter 1 is character creation, along with how things move along past level 1. Chapter 2 covers races, and while I'll just not describe all of those and what they are, I'll list them here. The player's book contains dwarves, elves, halflings, which are, think hobbits, humans, dragonborn, gnomes, half-elves, half-orcs, and tieflings. Nothing too out there, but do not worry at all. Dungeons & Dragons loves making money, and 5th edition has a million supplement books, and there's no shortage in there of all new and insanely weird races for you to choose from. You're only limited by either your wallet or bandwidth, as there are tons more on the actual Wizards of the Coast website and D&D Beyond as well, and we won't even get into the homebrewed stuff. Chapter 3 covers the fun stuff for me, the classes. Most of these are well known and nothing new, nothing crazy. I mean, most of these are going to seem like archetypes of things you find in other games. But just like I mentioned above, there's no shortage of resources you can find online or in stores for classes. I'll be covering other books as I go along this adventure, but for today, I'm just going to go through what the book covers. So, you have barbarians. Think of Conan, well, the barbarian. Yeah, like I said, that totally these are the basics. Savage warriors capable of great feats of strength. Next, we have the almighty bard. Joking aside, these minstrels are capable of great things using the power of music to bolster support in unexpected attacks. Clerics. Those that power their magical abilities through faith. Druids. Those that work their magic through the worship of nature. Fighters. If you need me to describe this to you, well, I should not have to describe a fighter for you. People who fight. Monks. Those that through meditation and balance temper themselves into people of great peace or war. Paladins. Religious warriors capable of turning the undead in the name of their zeal. Rangers. Those that cross the open fields and lush wilderness in search of adventure. Rogues. Hey, that's a really nice ring. Wait, you had a ring when you came in here, right? That's weird. It looks oddly like mine. Well, I could let you hold on to mine for a price. Sorcerer. Those of inherited magic ability. Their raw power is like no other. Warlocks. They attain their ability through pacts and deals, all to aid in their seeking of further magic across the multiverse. And then you have wizards. Supreme and well-honed magic users. These people gain their ability through study and training. And then that's that for the classes contained herein. And as said again, other source books have tons more, but that's what's contained in the player's guide to get you going. Moving on along with the chapters aren't what they have, Chapter 4 covers personality and background, as to add further depth and history to your character. Chapter 5 covers equipment and gear, always important to a good game of Dungeons & Dragons. This is where the book goes to quote-unquote part 2 and begins covering the systems. And depending on your group, you may choose to leave this part, composed of 3 chapters, to your Dungeon Master. It really all depends how into it you want to get as a player. Needless to say, if you're the Dungeon Master, this is likely more important to you than the earlier parts of the book, as it's completely rules-focused. The 3 chapters here are using ability scores, adventuring, and combat. To be real, I think all players personally should have a competent understanding of rules and systems, just because you don't want to be babysitting them and you also want to make sure they're not cheating. So, I think players should always read through it as well. And it is in the player's guide, after all. The third and final part of the book is composed of 2 chapters, spell casting and spells. But, of course, no good book is without appendixes, and this has a few. The first is conditions, and that's different states of being for characters, monsters, and environments. The next appendix is Gods of the Multiverse, and like many things contained, is exactly what it sounds like. Gods absolutely exist in the multiverse, and this book wants to give you a few to toy around with. The next appendix is Planes of Existence, and this covers the material plane and beyond the material. The next appendix is Creature Statistics, and this is for those that don't yet have the monster manual, or access to the internet apparently. The final 2 appendixes are Inspirational Reading, which is stuff that may get you, in the mood. Obviously, it's going to mention Lord of the Rings like a dozen times in bold. And then an attached index and character sheet. There you have it, a breakdown of what is contained in the Player's Guide to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The book is not massive and not chock full of lore or anything other than rules really, but that's okay. This is literally meant to give you everything you need as a player, and is meant to be a set together with the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Monster Manual. They even sell them as a box set online. Always check on Amazon for that. You can get like that set for like $80 that has all 3, and they're like foil covers. I just grabbed it. It's insane. They're beautiful. However, for everything this book lacks in lore and story, they more than make up for it with the billions of supplement books they keep releasing for it, and it seems they have no sign of slowing. 5th edition was in testing for 2 years before it was officially released, and they say they haven't even gotten to that point as far as the 6th edition goes. To be fair though, if something isn't broken, they shouldn't try to fix it, especially with their competition, Pathfinder 2nd edition, looming on the horizon. And make no mistake, that book will be quality. I look forward to seeing how they kind of match up on the scales of quality, information, whatnot. Paizo really does a great job with their books. They typically knock it out of the park. So, I really hope you've enjoyed taking this first step with me, and I look forward to many more. I've already gotten 8 books in my collection, so no worries, these guides will be coming out steadily. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and share, and never hesitate to shoot us requests. We have a list, and we can't wait to get them out to you. This is Chris, storyteller and dungeon master of the Botch Pit, saying goodnight. Be good to one another. Thank you.